tide. Let the water go where it wants to go. You can run and hide. You can bury yourself beneath the stones. Somebody told me don't pretend, 'cause everyone could use a friend sometimes. Take some good advice. Don't let your fear decide. That's how you break inside. You don't need to worry. Somebody is waiting down the line. You pick up the pieces. Hey, you'll be alright.
Hi, welcome back to the bathroom. In today's episode, we're going to talk about the biopsy. So let me get situated in the bathroom on my seat because this is the best place for me to share my thoughts and my feelings and my experiences with you, where I have privacy and I can really talk about the things the way I see them and feel about them. So let's get started. If you're new to the channel, I just want to explain how it all came about. We are RV reviewers and adventurers, and we travel generally in our bus, which we call the Beaver, and I'll link to some things so that you can go back and learn a little bit more about that. But my history as a nurse and an adult educator, that ended about 7 or 8 years ago by choice, because we wanted to change up our lifestyle. We wanted to be more free. We wanted to be on the road. We wanted to have more adventures, which we did and love, and it has been a wonderful time. It came to kind of an abrupt halt, and now we're here with cancer. We were doing some seasonal jobs in Whistler, British Columbia, Canada, which is a world-renowned ski resort community, and the snow has been falling and it's incredible up there. But of course, Corey and I are working through this, which has been a whole new experience, and we have lots to share with you about that until we got the diagnosis. Been hard. It's been a real emotional roller coaster. We're still learning more about it, and there's so much more for us to share with you. And it may be a tough road to hoe. I don't really know yet. We're gonna figure that out as we go. So that's what I'm here to share with you. And this is just a therapeutic way for me to discuss my feelings and my thoughts, and for me to get through. I've always been an educator, whether it be to my patients or to students. I share what I know, and that helps me to understand, and that's what I'm going to do through these videos. So being that we were doing the seasonal jobs in Whistler, we were living in the staff accommodation, which is super convenient, close to the resort, and it was working out really well. But then COVID, round whatever, happened again. And in those kinds of living situations where you're sharing spaces with other people, that virus was just going crazy. So we opted, with this diagnosis, to move out of staff housing temporarily and stay with our daughter Courtney, who lives about 40 minutes away from the resort, just to keep me safe. We didn't want anything to get in the way of diagnostic testing or treatments for my breast cancer. Still having a bit of a tough time saying it. We didn't want anything to get in the way, so we've decided to come and stay with our daughter and her husband. Although we are very welcome and very well taken care of here, we also don't want to impose. And it's hard for me to sometimes share how I'm thinking or feeling inside, because I'm a mom and my job is to take care of my girl. So I never want her to panic or be afraid. And that's why we're in the bathroom. The bathroom is my place where I can have my feelings and my thoughts I'm probably going to spend a lot of time in here in the future anyways. It's a good place, actually. It's private. I can think things through. I've always got my toilet paper here so I can blow my nose. I have a mirror. I think a mirror is going to be important moving forward. Lots is going to happen in that mirror. So today on this video, I want to talk about the biopsy process. And again, I'm talking about things in the Canadian healthcare system. A lot of it will be similar in other health systems too. But some of it may be different. And for those of you who may have had some different experiences and you want to share those in the comments, that would be good too. Because this is a very personal thing that's happening in a general way. And I know it's happening for lots of people. There's lots of different types of cancers out there. Remember, I've helped many of my patients over the years and their families and friends go through this process. It's just now flipped, and I have to go through the process. So we're going to talk about all of these things. Some of it may be graphic and may not be things you want to see or hear. And that's okay. Please feel free to mute me and move on to the next part. But hopefully by having these discussions that will be frank and open, we can help each other through this. The biopsy. Having helped many of my patients through the process, I've not actually been there when they had the biopsy. So I know that I send people off to radiology departments, and whenever you hear radiology, you think x-ray. Well, that's true too, but they also do ultrasound. And in ultrasound, they can look at tissues on their screen, and we've probably seen them more in relation to like baby ultrasounds, and you see this blob of gray and black on the screen, and someone says, oh, there's a foot. So these are trained professionals, technicians that know how to see and interpret what's on their screen and what kinds of tissues are what, and they might be able to point out a foot to new parents who are or about to be new parents who have a baby growing inside them. And that's where we most commonly understand ultrasound. But we can use ultrasound for all sorts of organs and tissues. So for me, we're looking at the breast. This is my left breast. That is the problem. And it has had numerous cysts in it over the years that had never been a problem before. But as they were looking at the tissue on the screen and looking at these cysts this time, they were able to see some sort of milky colored fluid-like substances in the cyst. Now, also, as I mentioned in the last video, I was having breast drainage, and this is an important detail. My breast drainage was what we call in medicine a serosanguinous, meaning that it has serous fluid, which is, sometimes you scratch really hard or something, or you get that bit of a fluid that comes to the surface, so it's a bit yellowy or goldy crustiness. That's serous fluid, and it's normal and it's supposed to be there, and it does come out of our body in different places at different times. The serous fluid was mixed with blood as well. So this was what was draining from my nipple. Not great. No pain here. I'm having no discomfort. I do not feel unwell in any way. But this is a serious symptom. We know I have the lump. So we go for the ultrasound. We had the mammogram. Mammogram, not great, but yeah, it squeezes the boob. But don't be afraid of it. I was kind of afraid. Of course, I've sent many of my patients for many, many mammograms over the years. So is it a bit uncomfortable? Yes, because it does really squeeze, but it wasn't painful, just so you know. So you go for the ultrasound, they can look at the tissue, they can see different kinds of characteristics in that tissue that indicate that something more sinister is happening than just the plain old cyst that we thought it was. Move on to the biopsy. It is also done under ultrasound, and in my particular case, there were a couple of things, couple of cyst areas and types of, there was also some calcifications meaning like a harder, a mineral style deposit in the cyst as well. Also apparently an indication of cancer. So they want to take, the biopsy is to take cells from each of these places so that they can take them to the lab and look at them under the microscope. And because they're smart and that's what they do, they know which cells look like which things, and they'll be able to determine what kind of cells are growing there and what's happening with them. And that's the pathology report. So that's the point of the biopsy, is to get those cells and figure out what they are. And it's a little more the facts of the case. So they know a lot of things by looking at what they see on the screen, and they've been around the block a few more times than I have, and they know what those things indicate, which is where the diagnosis for me has come from. But the actual pathology and examination of the cells has not yet been shared with me. That part is driving me crazy. Tomorrow's the day that I will learn more. So the way the biopsy works, you go into the X-ray, ultrasound, radiology department. You are going to get changed. You're going to be in a gown. They're going to lay down on a table. They use the ultrasound again to take a look at things and at the tissues. They use a local anesthetic, which is like a local freezing, like you'd get at the dentist, right? They're going to inject that. So there's a needle. Here's another thing, folks. I know I feel like such a hypocrite. My whole career, I don't like needles. I am quite needle phobic. I can give them. And I think because I'm needle phobic, I'm very compassionate about my giving of needles, but receiving them is a huge anxiety for me. Although, working on that, because we all need to work on those fears. Working on that. So I do let people know that I have a phobia to needles, and healthcare practitioners are used to that, and they're good. They're all been very kind with me. So local anesthetic, small needle. Ouch, it does pinch and it does burn a little. Nothing dramatic. They put the local freezing in, and then they use a larger biopsy type of needle tool that they put into the cyst, tumor, whatever you want to call it, tissue, to remove part of it or some cells from it so that it can go off to pathology. So that's how that works. They did use the local anesthetic. They were very kind, but when they went to puncture into the cyst, I thought I was going to come off the table. I was so surprised at how extremely painful and burning it was. This is unusual. This is not something you should expect. The doctor immediately stopped and inserted more of the local anesthetic. Unfortunately for me, it seems that I need a lot of local anesthetic before I'm actually frozen enough for them to do the procedure. Different people have different levels of tolerances of drugs. Some people may only need just a teeny bit to be frozen. Apparently, unfortunately for me, I need a lot. So it took him about 4 injections of the local anesthetic to actually get it to freeze enough that he could get into the cyst and get the cells that he needed. So that process was pretty tough on me and left me bruised, and it did leave me, even today, with still quite a sore breast. But again, not something I can handle. It's just uncomfortable. It was very painful in the procedure. He fixed that and it got all better. And of course that doctor then did confirm with me that yes, indeed, he believes this is a breast cancer. Again, hard for me to swallow that diagnosis, and I assume hard for you as well. Hard for Corey and Courtney to swallow as well. Nobody wants to say it or believe it, but we're working on that, and we're going to move forward. So that's how the biopsy went. The next phase was for me to get an MRI And while we wait for those results, my appointment was made with the surgeon, and the surgeon will take all of the diagnostic information and have a good look at it and make a more clear and certain diagnosis and a treatment plan. And that's going to happen tomorrow. I'm very anxious about that, but I'm going to stay positive, and I am going to hope for the best results that we could have with the most tolerable and quick treatment that we could have. So that's where my fingers are crossed at. And in the next video, I'm going to discuss the MRI process with you and how that went. And then we'll move on to more parts of this. I want to thank you for listening and being here with me, helping me through this. And I hope that my information is helping you in some way and helping those of you who are support people. And if you know someone who's going through this, or has a family or friend or loved one going through this, please share this information with them. And please feel free to comment if you're having similar experiences or thoughts or questions about something you might be going through. I think it's good for us to talk about it, and I want to help you. Helping you helps me, and I appreciate the time that you're spending here with us. And the full intention is to get us back on the road, back in many RVs, checking out all the coolest, newest things. So I'm going to sign off on that note, and feel free to hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. And if you have and you're just following along, thank you. We appreciate the time you spend with us. Thanks for watching.
Someone said it's better when you hold on to a helping hand. Sometimes we could all use a friend.